Hello and welcome to the Work in Real Life podcast. I'm Jenny Winspear.
And I'm Marcus Verrell.
Today we're joined by the fantastic Claudia Sutton. She's our second guest in the podcast room. She's a life coach, co-founder of Alt Collective, and she's a personal friend of mine. Any of you who do know Claude will know that you'll leave any conversation with Claude feeling positive. So thanks for joining us, Claude.
Thank you so much.
Yay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, so for those that don't know me, I know you as well. So my name is Claudia Sutton. I'm from Jersey, and my background is kind of recruitment. I worked in Jersey recruitment for 10 years nearly. Also worked in London and recruited across kind of different industries, from trainee through to kind of executive level. So lots of experience in kind of helping people find jobs and navigate their careers. In 2019, I decided to kind of transition my own career and moved into the coaching space. So I trained as a transformational life coach. And since then, I launched a business with an ex-colleague of mine we worked together at Roland's. And we founded Alt Collective and have been kind of growing that business since.
Amazing. And actually, I was looking up some stats, as I do, for life coaching as well. And I found out that it's the second fastest growing industry in the world, with an average yearly growth of 6.7%, which is just mad. Another fun fact that I had was that women make up 70% of all coaching professionals globally. So there you go. You're one of the many.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, actually. I've done two kind of certifications as part of my training, and it was, I'd say, 80% women in both of them.
Wow.
So there were a few guys. They tended to dominate the conversation, shockingly. I
haven't heard a peep from Marcus yet.
But yeah, so it's booming. It's booming. It's a really exciting industry, and I am loving it. It's like diving into this incredible industry that there's so many different paths you can take, and it's exciting.
Cool. So if you were going to define life coaching then, for those people who don't really know what this is, and I know you kind of work in corporate world as well as sort of one-to-one coaching, can you just give the listeners a general description of what it is?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think there's a lot of common misconceptions around what it is. And I think people think, oh, well, you're just going to tell me what to do with my life and, what qualifies you to do that, which is certainly not what it is. It's non-advisory, really, unless you kind of build in more of like a mentor program and make it more consultancy based on your background, I guess. So, but it's really an explorative process where you partner with an individual and you really start to kind of help them build self-awareness and achieve their goals. So it's very much looking at where you are now, where you want to be, and what might get in the way of you getting that. So kind of uncovering all the blocks and limitations that we tend to put on ourselves, like the limiting beliefs, the unhelpful habits that we formed, all of those things like procrastination, perfectionism, all the things that we get in our own way, basically, and help people to really fulfill their potential.
God, I feel like I could do with some procrastination. I'm a terrible procrastinator. Do you get stuff like that a lot? Like, is it? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and to be honest, I actually, before I started trading to be a coach, I actually didn't really realise what it was. So I was very inspired by Sophie, who's my now business partner, who was living in London, and she worked in recruitment and careers and then transformed her career and had moved into coaching. So I was like, oh, Sophie, I loved working with her. So I'll go and do the same course she did. And coaching, and I'd always been interested in mental health and well-being, and had been looking at different ways to kind of, I suppose, transition my own career into something that was really helping people, because I met so many people that were suffering with stress, anxiety, issues and concerns in the workplace, and obviously as a recruiter there was a limitation as to how much I could help them. So I really wanted to either go down more of the counselling or therapy route, which again, there's a common misconception around where does coaching sit within that? Is it just like therapy? And it's not. Therapy is very much looking at the past and working through trauma. Coaching is very much right. Let's move forward. Where are you now, and let's move forward. And of course, you have to touch on things that have happened in the past, but it's not. It's not to do with trauma. So. So basically, I can't remember the question now. So.
Well, just got me thinking there, but why, Jenny alluded to the stats there of the growth of the industry of life coaching. And I've written down here, in 2023, it seemed that everyone became a personal trainer, a podcaster, like we did, or a life coach. Why do you think it's become such an important thing? And what's missing from our lives so people are looking for coaches? Like where traditionally would they have gone, but now they're going to a life coach?
Yeah.
Why do you think this kind of grown so much?
I think, obviously the last kind of couple of years have been significant changes in our global landscape. Obviously the pandemic caused so much disruption, but it also meant people had a lot more time to self-reflect on what was important to them. And I think that made people, coaching can help you navigate really big life decisions and navigate change and make change. So I think there was a big increase in people getting interested in how can I take more ownership? I think we felt so out of control, and coaching is all about empowering you as an individual to take back control and really make positive change in your life. So I think that has played a factor probably to the increase in probably coaches, all different areas. You see it in fitness and health and well-being, and there's lots of different types of routes you can go down with coaching. And I think once you start to get a taste of coaching and you start to really see how it transforms your own life, and that's what I was saying before. When I started studying, I didn't really realise what it was going to be, and you go through it when you're learning about it to train as a coach. You're coaching yourself. Like you have to go through everything yourself. You practice all the tools on yourself first. You're being coached, and you have to have a certain amount of hours being coached. So it's transformed my whole life, and I think that happens for anyone who kind of gets into that coaching. So actually, once you've got a taste of that, you're like, oh, hold on a second, this is starting to upgrade different areas of my life. You're like, you want more of it.
Yeah, have you got any experience with having a mentor or a coach or anything?
Only sort of like people who manage me. I've taken on the role of mentor and coach and stuff, but no formal external coach.
Yeah, because the only reason I asked is I literally had like my first, I guess, formal mentoring session the other day.
With an external?
With an external.
Okay.
I think it was with Leo Harrison from Chapter 2.
Amazing.
Shout out Leo for the session. But it was great just to chat to someone. That was arguably more mentoring than coaching. But I guess there's a bit of crossover. But I would definitely implore anyone to kind of just chat to someone that's external to who you normally talk to.
Yeah.
And I think it really helps, because I guess a key thing that everyone wants to do is get better at things they don't like doing, right?
100%.
And how would you suggest to people that they approach doing stuff they don't like doing and being able to do more of it?
That's a really good question. This is something that I had to really learn, because I hadn't realised that it was actually when you wanted to grow, you had to get uncomfortable. I had a coach who told me, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And it was literally like, it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, because I was really good at starting things, and then as soon as it got a little bit hard and that kind of self-doubt creeped in and I wasn't very good at it, I just thought, it's easier not to. It's not for me. It's not my thing. And it just meant I played small, I didn't take risks, I wasn't, progressing in my career. It held me back in loads of different things. So as soon as I was willing to actually break through that kind of, just to appreciate that growth requires you to get uncomfortable. You're not going to grow unless you are willing to step outside your comfort zone, and that is when all the fear comes in, all the self-doubt. You're not going to be good at something straight away, or you're not going to suddenly believe that you are the best person at doing it, because you're probably not, and that's okay too. So I had actually a really good definition for confidence, and it's Mel Robbins, who's this Mel. She's a great podcaster too. Very American, obviously, but we love her. But she, I think there is this common misconception that confidence is a feeling. Like I feel confident and so I do something. It's like, no, because if you wait to feel confident, you will never do anything new, because you're not going to suddenly feel really confident in the new thing. It's like you've got to be willing to feel scared, terrified, anxious, butterflies, all the things, but still carry on. And so it's like confidence is actually an action. It's the willingness to try and to be terrible and to fail and to, mess up and then to try again.
Yeah, for sure. I was always told, when I was first learning drums, it was like, don't be confident in your ability to actually do it. Be confident in your ability to deal with it when it goes wrong.
Love that.
And it just makes way more sense, doesn't it? Because then you're not worried about the doing. You're worried about, it might go wrong, but I can deal with it when it goes wrong. So, so it's set up.
In your kind of coaching sessions with people, how many times do you hear work as a point of anxiety?
So often. I think that our workloads are ever increasing. I think the pressure and the stress and the demands of the working world now is kind of people are trying to do everything all at once. They want to be the best at work, they want to be the best in their social lives, they want to be, there's that kind of, but yes, I mean, specifically to work, I think there's also additional challenges with resources and, people being stretched and not having the tools to actually navigate stress as well. So a massive part of the work that I do as a coach is to really kind of help people who may be stressed, first to kind of gain clarity around what it is that's actually stressing them out, because often we are stressing about things that are actually out of our control. And so actually gaining clarity around what is in your control and all the stuff that isn't, you have to let it go and you have to focus on the things that you have direct impact on and then take action from there. And I do find that having a coaching session, just being able to get everything off your chest, like you said, someone who isn't, your manager or your friend or your family member can just be so helpful, even just having that space to share that stuff and then being able to kind of work it through and create a plan and how to move forward can alleviate a lot of stress.
I love what you said, and I just want to pick up on that kind of circle of control. Yeah. I actually learned about it today, and I love it. It's that it's that concept where there's basically 3 circles in this diagram. I'm visualizing it now, but I'm going to describe it. Outside is the thing that outside of your control, and they're the things that you really shouldn't let yourself get stressed of because you have no control. So this is things like the weather, how other people treat you. You know how people like brides get so stressed about the weather on their wedding days. I say brides, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty stressed about that.
Exactly. But like, there's no point in stressing over something like that because it's completely out of your control. You just have to live with whatever happens. But then it goes into and things like war or other external factors like economic conditions. That is all outside of your control. So don't stress about it. Whereas when you start to go in the inner layers of the circle. Things like your behaviour and your thoughts and your feelings, they're all within your control. So that's a much better thing. Is this something you use in your coaching? You're nodding a lot. Like,
it's a really powerful
this is a revelation
tool.
to me.
Yeah, it is a revelation and also having that first circle is just getting every single thing you're concerned about out, because then you'll start to realise, oh my God, I'm worried about this person and what they think about this, and it's like, well, that's not in your control either. And all of these different things, and actually just really being able to see it, and then the circle of concern, circle of control, and then circle of commitment, having those things that you're actually going to be like, right, I commit to actually taking action on this, and all the things that you can't take action on, you have to like actively choose to let go, because your mind will just attach to those things, and it's like, overthinking and worrying and catastrophizing, and then you're just down this hole of despair.
Does that kind of work the other way around though, just playing devil's advocate? So if you've got someone that comes to you and is sort of like, I feel like I've lost my way, I have no purpose, I don't have a meaning, can you use that same model to like put things in your middle circle? Do you see what I mean? Or is that not really how it works? Or how would you suggest to someone approaching that if you're like, look, I'd almost like to be stressed about things because I have nothing to be stressed about because I don't really care.
Does that ever happen?
When you feel like you're disengaged?
I mean,
I think when people feel
apathy,
apathy. I think people lose their sense of connectedness to who they truly are and what they really care about. And I think that can lead to feeling really disengaged and uninterested, unmotivated, unenergized. So I think actually there's a few more circles that you can do. This is different. This is a different circle. But it's called the zone of genius.
Right.
Okay.
And I think there's like loads of different ways you can do this. They talk about the Japanese like ikigai, like what's your purpose, and it's like where your strengths, your natural kind of strengths, your interests and your talents. I think there's kind of overlap, and then also what you can get paid for. I mean that's more in like the professional setting, but like you start to see like, okay, well what am I naturally good at? And when you're doing things that you're naturally good at and they're actually playing to your strengths, you feel a lot more connectedness to them. Like you find that in work, if people are really disengaged, it's probably because they're not like being utilised to their full potential or playing to their strengths, So how can you reconnect yourself and actually start to remember, what are you interested in? What does light you up? And it's really powerful to build that self-awareness.
I think as well, when I was looking into sort of life coaching and professional coaching specifically, that it seemed like it could be really successful. And actually 25 to 40% of all Fortune 500 companies include executive coaching as part of their standard leadership. So I was quite shocked, because that's quite a lot. I've never had a coach. Where's my coach? Yeah, exactly. So I was wondering, basically, if you have some really good success stories that you've seen that you could share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of, so 2 years ago, I did an online certification with this incredibly successful and just incredible coach called Alyssa Nabriga. Give her a shout out. She's like my little guru. I see, like she's like on my shoulder always. But she is someone who has just, on the program, there was like, I think every live call was like 200 people, and I actually did one of her free live calls last night. There was 1,000 people on that. Wow. She's making like millions in her certification program, which is a year long.
Yeah.
It's like, and I almost re-enrolled because it's so good. Like genuinely, there's a high re-enrollment rate. She's clever. She's really good at sales, but she's also just like, she's really, the core, of some of these like coaches is really making an impact in the world, like a positive impact. And it's so awesome to see highly conscious and amazing humans doing amazing work, but also making money through it. It's like conscious capitalism. It's not one or the other. Like, I think there's this kind of image of that you can't do good things and make money, but that's just a limiting belief as well. That
Sure. Well, I think especially with the life coaching space. I mean, I must admit, when I think of it, it doesn't have the greatest kind of connotations in my brain. I'm like, life coaching, is it going to be someone just sort of shouting motivational quotes at me? Do you know what I mean?
Bad experience.
Yeah, but by the sounds of things, it's not that, right? No. It's very different.
Yeah. It's, I think again, it's not about giving someone the answers. It's about helping them find, because it's about unlocking their answers. We all hold the key to our own lives, so it's really non-advisory. I mean, I think that's again where mentoring would be more giving advice. Coaching, really, the heart of it is not actually meant to be giving advice. Obviously, you can share insights and studies and point people to certain tools and things like that, but you're really trying to help them unlock their own wisdom, which is powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had an experience with coaching, because I did a module at university where we had to coach each other. It was the assessment, and they unlocked all these problems that I was dealing with, and we started talking about them, and then I found the process very frustrating, because I didn't have the answers. I'm a very resourceful person, if I have a problem, I'll try and solve it before needing to, and I will talk to other people and try and solve it that way, but to go to a formal coach, sometimes I would feel, and I don't know if that's just my personality, that I just want somebody to tell me the answers. And I know creating ownership by creating it yourself is going to be a good thing. But how do you deal with people who have that problem where they just want you to give you the answers and they're not enjoying the coaching process?
Well, thankfully I haven't had that. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do know what you mean. And I do think it's about finding the right coach as well. And it depends what you're looking for, I think. Because hopefully working with a great coach, they will be able to help you get to that point.
Yeah. And I guess on the flip side of that, there's also like that saying that's like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So what if they find the solutions themselves, and then actually they never do anything? Every coaching meeting, you meet up and you go, how did you progress on your goals?
So that stuff I suggested that you should do this week.
I didn't do it.
And you didn't do it. Can you just tell me why you didn't do it?
Well, that's it as well. I think it's really important to be setting goals that are actually aligned with what that person truly is committing to. And a massive part of, again, which the coach I train with talks about, is at the beginning of a coaching, container or whatever, the kind of program that you're doing, assessing their commitment to taking action. Because a goal without action is just a wish. So unless they are willing to actually take action and they're really 100% committed, well, then there's no point. They're not ready. If they're not ready to be coached, because coaching is about change and transformation and moving forward and taking action. So yeah, it's really important to be.
People have to want it,
100%. And to be honest, the first, I know what you mean. When I first started being coached, I hadn't also realised the importance of taking action. I realised I was still stuck in inaction. You know, your change and transformation takes time as well. You know, you're not just going to go to a coaching session and you might have some amazing insights, but the reality is that to create sustainable, long-lasting change, you have to be willing to show up every single day and just take consistent action. And if you don't take action on one day, know that it's okay and start afresh the next day. You know, because I think we can have this all or nothing mentality where, oh, I've not done it now. You need to see that New Year's resolutions are a great example. I think it's like 80% of New Year's resolutions people fail by like the end of January or something.
This week, I think it's this Monday is the day where
it's like, give up.
It's over.
Because people set unrealistic goals.
Yeah.
They think that they can achieve all these things straight away and suddenly they're just going to be a different person because they've decided to be a different person, and then they aren't, and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, no. And I, you know, I get that, because I think that's what the expectation of, you know, I suppose some coaching can be as well. It's like, you want instant results, you want to change right now. Well, you know, why aren't I different?
Well, I guess there's no quick fixes really, is there, in this sort of thing?
The one thing I found which is a quick fix is literally self-compassion. You know, like changing the way you think about something can change your whole experience of it, even with nothing else changing. Like changing the way you think about yourself, being compassionate to yourself when you do revert to your old ways of being. You know, like you said, seeing all the things and being like, oh my God, I have to change everything. I'm broken. It's like, no. Self-compassion. And like, as you navigate, you know, moving forward. But being like, that's one thing that I found to be transformational. Like, and that can start straight away.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, I've written down here is like how important is self-awareness when it comes to sort of like career growth, personal growth. I guess what you're saying is that's where it begins, right? It's
100%.
like being self-aware enough to go, I think I'm ready.
Yeah, and that's the process of coaching. The initial stage is helping someone build self-awareness. Because so often we're living our lives, getting up, going to work, going home, getting to bed. You know, we're in a routine and we're in our, you know, habitual way of living on the kind of hamster wheel, and then coaching kind of takes you off that and you start to reflect and you start to build self-awareness around all of the, I suppose, unconscious limiting patterns, like limiting beliefs, things like procrastination, perfectionism, you know, things that get in our way of feeling good and achieving our fullest potential in whatever area of life. I suppose that's the life thing. It could, once you get it to the root as well, it's like, that's why it's kind of life, it's the core of it is the same. You know, the core of it usually comes down to like not feeling good enough, or not having that self-belief and having, you know, not feeling good enough is a massive one. You know, I think that's what I see within so many different people that I've worked with. It's like, if you just believe in yourself and you can really have that self-compassion to really, you know, start being kind to yourself. It's like amazing how horrible we are to ourselves. Like we're our own harshest critics.
Well, I think we've all been there, haven't we? When you have like, you mess up or you have like a bad day or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I'm useless or I'm rubbish or whatever. And ultimately, I think it's like you're saying there about the circles. It's like, I'm not in control of a lot of the reasons why I actually feel really bad about today. So I need to like get a grip.
Yeah, and building and having that self-awareness helps you to notice it when it comes up. It's not necessarily about not having it. It's not about not being triggered or not having a bad day. But it's when you do, you have the tools to support yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's because, I mean, we're going to be with ourselves for the whole of our lives. It's like the ultimate, we're our ultimate best friend, basically. And if we are treating ourselves horrendously or like, you know, if we don't have self-awareness around how we talk to ourselves or what we truly want, what we want to be in the world and all those kind of things, then you're kind of just living someone else's life a lot of the time.
Sure. I mean, we alluded to it there a little bit with like life coaches and things like that, but say I'm on the market for a life coach.
Yeah.
I've realised self-actualisation. I'm aware enough that I need a bit of coaching to get me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone is like red flags you should be aware of? Because I know that there's like, you're on Instagram, you see people being like professing to be a life coach or having all the answers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you find the right life coach?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because as you said, it's like the boom, isn't it? There's like everyone's calling themselves a life coach or some sort of coach. So, you know, it is unregulated, so anyone can call themselves a life coach or, you know, any type of coach. But there are kind of membership bodies and professional bodies that you can kind of go, like, that have their accreditation, well, that's the word, courses that can be accredited, basically. So I would always look into someone's background in terms of their, you know, professional qualifications. You know, it depends on also what you're looking for. So actually, what is their background? Are they, you know, are they coaching from a place of authenticity? You know, do they have experience in that thing, or what are you actually looking for, and does that feel in alignment? But I do think looking at their professional background is really important. You know, do they have an accreditation that has ICF or EMCC, which are the two kind of European and then the International Coaching Federation. You know, that's a really good place to start, because that's kind of trying to up-level the coaching industry by setting these standards and kind of ethics and things like that. So you know that, because it's a vulnerable space. You know, you're going to be kind of working with someone in quite like an intimate way as well. And whether it's professional coaching or life coaching generally, or career coaching, whatever that is, you want to know that you're working with the right person, and that they, are working to a certain standard that is professionally accepted.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Claude. We have a bit of a finishing tradition where we like to discuss a myth about 30, or something you have to have achieved before you're 30. And we did ask you to do a little bit of prep, but I believe you've got an answer.
Okay, yeah, the myth being that fun stops when you're 30.
It's true, isn't it?
You're not even 30 yet. How do you know?
I've got one week left, so I've got to cram it all in. But I actually think life gets funner after 30 from what I've seen. My fiance is having a great time. Anyway, she's 32.
I was once told that your 30s are the best years of your life, and I'll tell you why. It's because...
I'll tell you for why.
It's because you're much more sure of yourself. You know who you are. You know where you want to go in life usually. And it's okay if you don't, but often you have a good sense of where you're going. You are usually making much more money than you did, because you're not at the very beginning of your career. So you have money to go on holidays and buy clothes. You don't have to stay in the cheap backpackers hostels anymore. I feel like you are really cemented in your values by that age as well. And I know that these things change over time, but that's definitely my experience of turning 30.
What about you, Claude?
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Living the best life.
Yeah, but I think I agree with all of that. I think if you don't feel that, then you should get a coach.
Nice plug.
But, I mean, that rounds it up lovely. After that. If anyone's interested in life coaching or finding more about Alt Collective, where can they find you?
So you can find us on Instagram, Alt Collective Jersey, or LinkedIn, and our website, alt-collective.co.uk. You can also join one of our events. We host regular female-focused events, and we're also organising a large-scale event this March, so watch this space, and hopefully see you there.
Thanks for listening to the Work in Real Life podcast. I've been Marcus Verrell.
And I'm Jenny Winspear. Catch you on the next one.